Howdy folks, it's Johan, your favorite little ink blob, back at it today with some more magic. I think I've got everything running right after yesterday's stream, but yeah, we did our first collab with my lovely friend Tanner, did some golf with friends, so I think I've got everything else set back up correctly, but learning process, we're learning stuff. I apologize that I'm late today, but I stayed up a little late watching him stream a bit more. He was doing awesome, but I should have gotten more rest. However, we are here. We're having fun. So we're kind of at an awkward space in the timeline for Magic because I don't want to spend any more of my resources on doing the stuff that's currently around. Because in 4 days, Thunder Junction releases. So I'll probably pick up this pack so we can just jam all day. That's going to be what? Today's the 12th, so 13th, 14th, so next Tuesday. Um, so yeah, we will probably be doing that. But today we're just going to be running our dailies, building up our resources a little bit. We've got our draft token. There is, oh, by the way, I'm trying to. Plague, I think, was asking about if there's taxation. No, it wasn't. It's Plague plays Magic. One of y'all was asking about like taxes and tax evasion in Magic. We've got land tax. We're talking about that a little bit. Some actually pretty sweet card styles. We've also got like Ristic Study and whatnot, but very, very anime. It looks like intriguing. We do have the qualifier play-in today, which I could pay for with qualifier with play-in points. However, as I think I've mentioned, standard has not been like super clicking for me right now. I got high enough in standard, had a blast, but it's not doing its thing. It's not standard and right. So while these are some very juicy prizes, I have a horrifying sneaking premonition that we will go 0-1. So I think I'm going to hold off and see if we can use that for entry into a limited event, because, I don't know, those always seem more, those are usually more my speed. Doing something more with standard could be fun, but yeah. Yes, it was, I know it was late for all of our European friends. That was just when Tanner was available, so he's been trying to get into streaming, so was trying to find time that would work for him, and that was when worked. How's it going today, Uno? Leviathan. We're running a little domain, just getting through our dailies, so much shorter stream today, no draft to be on a heater with. This is probably not great because we've only got 2 lands, and we don't have like a 3-mana ramp spell that we can talk ourselves into. Here, we can talk ourselves into it. We've got something that we can pay 2 mana to go grab another land, make sure we hit our drops, and this can help ramp us out. I think we ditch the Breach, since Atroxa is normally kind of just better. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Hlah. Excited. The next set is coming out in a couple of days, so looking forward to that. We are up against Boros. Alrighty. I guess I could have done the Rafine's Tower first so that we could play a Leyline Binding if we drew it, which I've often been doing, but I was a little focused on like Topiary Stomper. What if we draw an untapped Green Source? Because we could have Binding the Blood token to prevent those 3/1/1s, which would have possibly been worth it, but alas and alack. On the bright side, if they do convoke anything out, or anything very big, very spooky, we should be able to Leyline Binding it now, and then we get to play Topiary Stomper to guarantee another white source so that we can Sunfall. Ooh, Recruitered. Honestly, I think I do. It doesn't prevent the triggers, so we're still taking 8, but It prevents 3 damage and then another 2 damage down the line, so I will take it. It's about staunching the bleeding just a little bit. Ooh, and Invasion of Zendikar, far better for us, because then we do not have to worry about the opponent, or we aren't going to be wrathing away our own Topiary Stomper. So we get to ramp and not kill our own creatures. Yay! Novice Inspectore. Bom, bom, bom. Knight Errant of Eos, so they refilled their hand. This is fine. I mean, I have come across worse, and the fact that that means they aren't hitting us this turn is very good news. They will get to rebuild with 2 1/1s. But we get a second Sunfall, which is pretty sweet. We love 1 more land so that we can hit our Atraxa, which we can get with the Topiary Stomper, but it's a little slow, maybe. Bom, bom, bom. So, second Sunfall, we might also just run out this turn, because that, yes, it's only 2 cards, but it cleans up the board pretty nicely, leaves us something back. Yeah, since we drew the land and we kind of don't need to play the Topiary Stomper, I think cleaning up this board state is probably our best bet. Because now next turn we get to throw down a big ol' 7/7 lifelinker, which is going to be very hard for them to fight through. Vwom. We'll take an Archangel, up the Beanstalk so we can draw some more cards, Nissa, Invasion, and sure, a Cavern. So we'll play that on Angele. So now, not only are they contending with our 11 remaining points of life, but there's a big 7/7 that can kill their stuff and claw us back up to like 18 and so on and so forth. So against Boros, we need to trim a little bit of the fat, try and get a little faster. Temporary Lockdown, which also means we want less up the Beanstalks, because Temporary Lockdown, very good. It gets rid of all of their like little tiny creatures that they that cost 2 or less, but it will also get rid of our up the Beanstalks, so we don't want to be playing those as much. I don't mind the one-off Long Goodbye. And I think Wandering Emperor is good. It gives us life gain and some other things in that vein. I think cutting an Invasion is probably fine. Yeah, so we're now much more Wrath heavy so that we can deal with multiple creatures at once. And we've got some stuff that helps us gain life and mess around with them early on. And then we slam big old, 7/7s that gain us life. That's the hope. I do love, so this avatar is Falcospara, the Pact Weaver. It's a demon lord from a sort of like roaring 20s-esque plane, so like flapper dresses and whatnot. The America in the 20s, when the future was looking great, and then Great Depression. So very like mobster oriented. I think this is a very keepable hand. It's maybe a little slow, but we do have some untapped land, which is nice, and the herd migration. Pardon. But yeah, so Falcospara is in green, white, and blue. The Brokers is what their gang was called. And so they're associated with colors that are often like affiliated with law and order. So I find it very funny that they are a demon that uses contracts and whatnot to get what they want. I've always enjoyed the like lawful evil type stuff in D&D. Howdy, Personal Plague, how goes it? We are jamming my standard dailies. We're currently up a game against Boros Convoke. And yeah, I was considering entering the play-in qualifier today, but I don't know. Standard has not been clicking as well as I would like it to before I dump some gems in, so I think we take our black source here. This is gonna hurt. We aren't ramping, so we need to try and survive, and they're going to hit the Sunfall, I'm guessing. They might also hit Wandering Emperor, but... Invasion of Gobakon is one of those cards that seems really sweet to me. I like it a lot. I don't think I mean, it's going to wreck me here. Like, don't get me wrong, but I don't think it's as good as I wanted it to be. Because in a lot of situations, it just feels too slow. But, I mean, hey, hit me for 4, grow everything by 1, and I'll desperately need a temporary lockdown. Boom, boom, boom. So what's up with you, personal? Anything fun going on? Light shield array, yep. Yikes. So that can gain hexproof. So we run out that. We're gonna take 12. Kingdom Rush 5. I'm not familiar with Kingdom Rush 5. What be? I think we probably binding the light shield array. Yeah. I'll hold off on it, but like if they recruit her here, we are dead. Oh, it's a tower defense game. Nice. I enjoy a good one. Here, I'll flash it real quick. I often during streams have a sort of idle tower defense game called The Tower Runnin', so I enjoy the genre, even if it's not as engaging when you're just letting the thing run for the most part. Hammy Polly has 2 cats? No, I didn't know this. Ah! Oh, that's right, I need to check the Discord this morning. It's running late, so I try and pop in real quick at least once, but yes, we did get many very good cat pictures last night, which was very good. But I'm assuming Kingdom Rush is probably a little more in the vein of like I'm used to like Bloons tower defense, where you're actually placing towers and having to be strategic about it. Aw, that's so good. I would like a cat or dog. I don't know. I'm not very used to them. I did not grow up with cats and dogs. So I still get we're just a little too slow. We gotta depopulate or something, but no. As good as Sunfall is, it is 5 mana. Alright, we go to game 3. Where we will be on the play. I know, cats and dogs, I've definitely come around on. I used to love them a lot when I was very young. Then I had some bad experiences, and now I've come around on them again now that I've had some good stuff. Honestly, have no idea, but the most popular game on Roblox right now is Skibidi Toilet Tower. Oh, that disappoints me deeply. Okay, personal. I know I'm playing Sunfall. I know I'm playing it. It hurts me so much. I think it does too much in most cases because it exiles, which ruins. Look, okay, I think Sunfall, by and large, is the reason mono green can't exist. I think that other board clears, other control definitely hurts it, but Sunfall, a lot of the ways that green has of getting value off of things getting killed is them getting killed rather than exiled. And the fact that we've got Sunfall and Farewell as big old exile sweepers, it just wrecks that. And as someone who likes mono green, I have feelings about Sunfall. It's a really good spell. It feels good to play, but yeah, I think it kills entire archetypes. Yeah. We mulligan this hand, I believe. This is rough, but we'll keep it. Oh no! No, that is legitimate. Control is an archetype that I recently crafted the one of the current Azorius control decks, and I've played it a little bit. It is not my thing. I can understand why people enjoy it, so no hate, but I will shake my fist like a crotchety old man at you all. Let me play my spells. Let me play magic. Don't just sit there reacting to me. Let me kill you and try and kill me in return. Like Garfield intended. No. It's all part of the game, right? But, yeah. Then you got No More Lies. Y'all have been getting some nice fancy little treats recently, and I feel like we need more. We need things that say when they leave the battlefield, not only when they die. That's how the arms race needs to work out, so that aggro and mid-range have a chance. Tanner was asking me about hot takes last night. Doesn't play a lot of Magic, so it wouldn't have made sense, but there's my hot take. Give aggro and mid-range things that gain value when they leave the battlefield. Let us flicker things. Let us gain value on exile. Play red deck wins because you have no wild cards. That is super fair. Yeah. Oh, so talk to me. As someone who is on a very opposite end of the play spectrum, at least for preference in paper, why Azorius Control? What do you like about Control? What brings you to it? Because I played it for the first time on stream like last week, and I felt itchy because I wasn't being proactive. It's such a reactive game, and I want to be doing things, not just draw go. So what compels you? Boom, 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 boom. We will grab a white source. We do have to probably run out Invasion of Zendikar to ramp up, so that next turn we can slam that Sunfall. We could have done Garden and go from there, but I like this. We're doing a little more proactive. We'll also grab, I think, Red Source, so that we can Archangel more effectively. Okay. Do we survive a recruiter here? 8. Ooh, 4 Leaders Call is spooky. So 6, 12. We'll be at 6. We get to mop up the board with a Sunfall. But, if we can draw an untapped Monosaurus, I'll feel a little more comfortable so that we have up a blocker. See, points. God, Sunfall does so much. Okay, that's actually gaining us life, so I'm here for it. No untapped Monosaurus, but I think we'll be fine. That's super fair, like, no pressure, but that is something I would be very interested to hear, because I see a lot of discourse on Reddit and whatnot of people getting, like, control players getting very upset at aggro players, and aggro players getting very upset at control players. And while I don't get, like, legitimately upset, I really want to understand why people like such different playstyles. Because, like, I get aggro. There's a lot of interesting decisions to be made, but control just does not click with me. I do need to play it more, though, because I crafted it not so much because I want to play it, but because I want to play... Ooh, okay, so we Archangel here, we gain 4 and get a blocker. Like, I want to play it more so that I can understand better how it operates and how to basically, I want to understand as a control player what I don't want to see my opponents doing, so that I can hopefully combat. Yes, exactly. Know thy enemy. Because I know as a Boros player what I really don't want to see, but like in the control matchups, I get my butt kicked because I don't know, and I think in a lot of cases it feels like you are waiting for the opponent to blink and then you throw down your stuff, you throw down your challenge. Seems to be the way the mirror often goes. And I like to do things. I like to be using my resources. Okay. This is definitely spooky for us. Yeah, they chump there. They are on empty hands, but so we can't herd. Okay, so we can herd migration for 3 life. We can actually, you know what? We temporary lockdown, even though that feels weird, but it gets rid of both of our tokens, but it also gets rid of their clues and whatnot. And we can cycle herd migration if we need to, but if not, we can then play it out. But we might need the life. I don't know. War Leader's Call doing the like impact tremors thing is very interesting. I'm gonna hold off on cycling it for now. Archangel we much prefer, because that gives us more life buffer. Voop and voop. Gain 4. I feel I'm breathing a lot easier. And swibbity swoop on in. Doot doot doot. All right. But yeah, like I don't know. I love aggro and mid range. I love aggro because it feels very fast paced. It always makes me feel a little bit like I'm riding a motorcycle way faster than I should or something. Just sort of this, you're hanging on for dear life, and you have to make a lot of interesting split-second decisions to try and just eke. You're trying to count to 20, and you want to get it in just before the opponent is able to kill you most of the time, or wrath your board. And like mid-range, I enjoy the value accrual. I enjoy playing around with my resources in a way. I think there's a lot of overlap between mid-range and control. Note, I'm playing 4 of Sunfall and whatnot. But I think mid-range just feels a lot more proactive. See, that's interesting. I disagree. I think there's a lot of decisions while playing mono red. Sure, we had fun. Here, let's queue up. I need to rebuild my mono red a little bit because I want to cut the Feldons for the Fugitive Codebreaker. Like, I think mulligans are a huge decision in mono red. I think that's one that often gets overlooked, is with aggro, trying to get the right... Oh, wait, did I already go up and count? Okay. So then, what's my last card? Do I put in a cheeky Urbask's Forge? Or do I put in an extra pump spell? You know what? Let's do the Urbask's Forge, mostly because I like it as a card. Don't know if this is like the best build, but it's what I'm going with. I don't know. So like mulligans, I think are a huge decision. I know mulligans are a big weak point for me in Magic, but knowing what hand is good enough to keep, because you can't mulligan too aggressively, because if you don't have a lot of card advantage. So if you mulligan too aggressively to try and get a nice early curve, you can end up just screwing yourself out of the game. Think Bloodthirsty Advocate is better than Feldon? Absolutely. I'm not a big fan of Feldon. Like the number of times where I've actually seen him impulse draw is so few. The few times that I have seen it happen, it's usually the turn I play him. And so it's not helpful. Like this hand, I don't think is a tough mulligan decision, right? We get Swift Spear into Codebreaker into Godric. and go from there. So, like, this is definitely a somewhat, like, brain-dead-ish hand, but even then, like, we've got this Monstrous Rage, and depending on what the opponent does, we need to evaluate, do we use that to clear early board and not develop more, or so on. Okay, mono-red versus mono-red. So, like, I think we have a more aggressive hand, so I think we go for it. But, like, leaving back blockers and using a defensive Monstrous Rage is a thing that I've done before. It is a legitimate decision to be made here. I don't think that's the best, but it is something that against mono red, I don't think that's typically a good option, but I've definitely done that a few times against like green white enchantments, because that lets they get overconfident, and then I'm able to take out a like Jukai Naturalist or something that's going to be more of a problem later that they're never going to block with. So yeah, that game, not a lot of. We had a very clear line that we were able to play to. I think there were arguments to be made. I don't think that they were necessarily good arguments, but they were there. Those are decisions that can be made. But I think the combat trick aspect of it adds a lot of decisions, and I think in matchups where the opponent holds back, I think also adds a lot more decisions. Mono red versus mono red, a lot of times you are just, swinging out and you're just trading punches. Okay, so like here, is this hand good enough? We don't have a 1-drop. We have Fugitive Codebreaker and 2 Bloodthirsty Adversaries. They are on the play. This is a mulligan to you. Okay, interesting. I'm kind of inclined to agree, if for no other reason than we've got the colorless source rather than double red. But yeah. Here, I think we keep it. We probably try and go Kumanos, Adversary, Godric, and ship the chick. Do we ship the chick or the Foundry? So, like, that's also part of my decision-making process. Like, do we ship the piece of action that doesn't fit into our curve? Or do we... Ah, yes, the classic your go. I think my general inclination with mono red... Interesting. I think my general inclination is to ship the Foundry, but let's try shipping the chick. I think that's a very reasonable call, right? Because we've got the curve that we want to do, and yeah, that guarantees the curve. If we draw more lands, we're really sad, because oftentimes you don't want many more than 3 lands. So we're up against green-white enchantments. Yep. So, fortunately, we get the Bloodthirsty Adversary, which gets the counter and can smack on through. And then next turn we get Godric, and since that flipped, we should be fine there, but we'll need to see what shenanigans our opponent runs in with. Spirited Companion. So, I don't know, I think mono red, oftentimes the right line of play is very linear, but I think there's a lot of decisions that are reasonable to make along the way that sometimes are the good thing to do, and sometimes are really bad to do. So it's, I don't know, I don't think it's as linear as people talk about it being, even if oftentimes the right thing is to be as linear as people talk about it playing. Boros Convoke, right? There's a lot of questions about how you want to manage your resources to kill your opponent effectively. I don't know. It's I like aggro. The decision-making points are a lot. They click for me better than control. Control, I often, when I lose, I have a really hard time identifying where I lost, whereas with aggro, I can often tell, and I have a much better process of play the game. I love this opponent is very, like, yes, I understand I am talking to an audience that you don't see, but, like, come on. I don't know, I think that there's a much better improvement loop for me with this. So we can Lightning Strike the Naturalist, and that gives us a pretty clear go-ahead. I don't know. I run into more positive people than negative people, so I like to have the fun interactions. I think we strike the Naturalist so that we can swing in kind of with impunity, and they don't get the life gain. I think that's better than any of our other options here. Oh, I have not actually seen folks running that, so good on them. They got me. So that was not part of my consideration. That is not a spell that I've actually seen before. Interesting. That's actually a really neat trick. So here, I think we're going to get rumbled, because that's a big life linker, and they've got Calyx. We can double trade. So we can double trade here, which means they're not going to accrue value, but, I mean, at that point, I think we're just out of the game, but keeping it around I don't think helps either. Yeah. I like to stick it out, because sometimes there's lines that I don't see, but that was a really critical turn. So if we had bolted their face, I think we would have been in a much better position. So, okay, so we can Chandra, we can ping them, we get an extra mana, so we can double spell Chandra and, like, Codebreaker. But we don't really have a way to attack through the Calyx. Next turn, if Chandra survives, that gives us access to Bloodthirsty Adversary, but which could bolt that, but that's assuming they don't have another... Assuming they don't have another enchantment, which they absolutely do. I'm willing to play out the line. I'm curious. Let's see, because, yeah, I haven't seen this combat trick before. I'm curious if they have any other attack. Oop. The fact that they keep saying your go just, to me, it's also fun because it indicates to me, oh, I need to take my sweet time. Because if they are that impatient and that rude, that's okay. I have the time that I am allotted, I'm using it, so have fun. But yeah, like, I don't know, I do enjoy green-white enchantments. That was actually kind of the first deck that really got me into Standard, was green-white enchantments with Hallowed Hauntings. But now, I don't know, this deck feels so dependent on drawing a Calyx now. The player in Hearthstone who would almost always use up all of his time means you're thinking, right? It can definitely be frustrating to play against. Like, there are definitely times where I'm staring at my opponent like, you cannot have that much of a decision to make, with an empty hand and a full board where all of your answers are already there. But, like, I don't know. It's whatever, right? People play at different paces. Some people stream. Liked him. Life Coach 1981, he was a streamer too? Nice! A lot of streamers seem to take up more time. That's actually a big habit I've been building in draft, is trying to take up more time during the premiere draft for my picks. It's actually, there's a lot of aspects of my Magic playing and such that I think have gotten markedly worse because of streaming, because I'm kind of constantly devoting part of my brain to talking through what I'm doing and talking to, interacting, talking, having conversations with folks, not just my sort of inner monologue. If they hit Chandra, yeah. Okay. We will scoop it up there because we don't have enough resources to dig out of that. But, I don't know, I think some parts of my drafting have gotten a little better. I think that's one of the few... Oh, I didn't reroll my quest this morning. Okay. PVDDR. I don't believe so. That's a lot of my Magic media consumption mostly boils down to Loading Ready Run and Newmont. I tend to like find something that I enjoy watching and watch the ever-loving hell out of it. But yeah, so like I think my drafting has gotten a little better because talking through my lines has forced me to slow down a bit. I think this is keepable. I think it's wonky, but I think we can keep this. Former MTG World Champion. He has good strategy videos? Okay. I will take a look. Especially if he has anything on the art of the mulligan, because, dear lord. Okay. Very much like getting the Monstrous Rage here. Bom, bom, bom. So, like, this... I think here we've got another interesting decision point, right? Because do we double check or do we adversary? And thank you. Yeah, I will try and check that out. I'm building up. What I need to do is make a Google Doc so I can just paste all of the links that people send and work through them. But yeah, so like here we've got, so we can double check and try and race them in the air. That's 3 damage in the air with the counter on something that's unblockable in the air. They've got double Kumanos, which is horrifying. We could also Bloodthirsty Adversary, basically load up everything on one creature, but I think their Swift Spear is just bigger. I think it's a better creature. So I'm inclined to double check and try and see if we can sneak through enough damage in the air. So I think that's what I'm going to go with, but like, that's a decision point, right? Because we are definitely on the back foot, so it might be better to play a Bloodthirsty Adversary and attack this turn and then try and leave it back for blocks and like defensively rage. I'm gonna go with double check line, but like that is a legitimate breakpoint in this game. It's something where that I might have just made a very wrong call. So it's not linear. I think the decisions with aggro, here we go. Here's how to phrase it. I think the decisions with aggro are a lot fewer and further between, but I think you can tell the pivot points a lot more easily, which I really like. Okay. So most mana efficient would be adversary and then either chick or rage. We are at 7. Chicks can't block. So we absolutely attack with chicks. God, they've got more Kumanos. They've just queued up the line, which is pretty sick. Like, good for them. So I don't think we want to play another check. This is something where we do not survive next turn unless we play to survive. So we've got at least 8 damage coming at us next turn. Most likely, but I think we run out defensive adversary, swing in with the chicks, and hold back a defensive monstrous rage. Like, yes, we are very, very likely dead. But I'm still going to try and play the line that has the greatest chance of survival. But yeah, like, I'm wondering, it might have been good for me to leave back the adversary and try to get big with the monstrous rage, soak up more damage early. Rabbit Battery. They can't equip. Okay. Pass the blocks. Yeah, I mean, we were on the draw, which, yep. But I would be curious about that other timeline. So our etching survives. Yeah, and between the Phoenix and the Scamp, we do not have what we need, and we cannot kill them. So, good game, opponent. Now, one that I have been having a lot of fun with as an aggro deck is, I think Legend VD, should have played Blue Eyes White Dragon. Exactly. Can't win at Magic? Play Yu-Gi-Oh! So this is a fling deck that, I believe it was Legend VD, was at least where I saw it. That's trying to make use of Pyrotechnic Performer and Hunted Bone Brute to just burn the hell out of the opponent. And I don't know, I've been having a lot of fun with it. Having Goblin Mask Maker in a standard deck amuses me deeply. So yeah, so you're playing the Bone Brute and Pyrotechnic Performer for that synergy. Fugitive Codebreaker is just a good mono red card for dealing some damage, and can also get a little extra damage off the Performer. Should have more Thrill Seekers. I didn't have the wild cards for it, so we've got the one, but we're also using Callous Sellsword to fling things. Cacophony Scamp doubles up. Monstrous Rage, good mono red card, and also can be used to buff the damage off of the Bone Brute and our flings. And yeah, so I don't know. I think it's a very slick list. I don't think it's as competitive as some of the other aggro decks, but it's really fun and people don't know how to play against it most of the time. Whoop. We're up against Jin. And Tonic? Or are they just going to twist all of our wishes around? I suspect the latter. Based on the spelling. So we've got Mask Maker into Bone Brute. We don't have the black source to flip it up. Haughty Jin Gamer, perhaps. True. That's a deck that I would love to run. I don't think it's very good, but I don't know. It seems like an interesting strategy. It feels a little bit Phoenixy to me, where it's kind of more of a. It's not a tempo game so much as a like card velocity game. Ooh, so we're up against Gruul Monsters. We don't have a black source, so I think our game plan is actually worse than theirs, so I think we pass and try and play with fire if they load this up with an Audacity or something. We'll take the one. Okay. Convinced that Carsey will just come here every stream now and say something about Blue Eyes White Dragon? I don't think that's an unreasonable guess. And you know what? Maybe, just maybe, one of these days I'll be convinced to play Yu-Gi-Oh! No, that's not what you'll do? Darn. I think I have played... Oh, yes, of course, never would. Okay, so opponent slow rolled and was very correct. Oh, I forget that Felonious Rage actually gives haste. Yes, I know that Richard Garfield is a math PhD. I mostly know that because of the uncard. Richard Garfield, PhD. I don't know, I'm trying to think. I think I've played Yu-Gi-Oh! Once. It was not my jam, but I don't know, I could see myself being willing to give it a try again at some point. Hearthstone I should also do. That I'm hoping I can convince Tanner at some point to do a Hearthstone stream, although I think we both really enjoy doing Battlegrounds. I mean, we could have blocked there, but we were dead anyway. We probably should have flung the Codebreaker. Yeah, that's what I should have done. I should have flung the Codebreaker at the Ruiner, but... Womp womp. Just thinking about Yu-Gi-Oh! Yeah, I don't know. I wish that you could make guaranteed that you both queued up in the same Battlegrounds queue in Hearthstone. Man, I haven't played normal Hearthstone in so long because... Yeah, Battlegrounds is really fun. My issue with Hearthstone, I used to play a lot of Hearthstone back when it was Classic, the Gnomes expansion, and the tournament one that had Inspiration was just coming out. This is, I think, a bit more keepable. This is tapped, which is awkward, but I think we can make it work. Grand Tournament, yes, thank you. You know, I used to play a fair bit back then, and then I, like, took a break, and I came back, and I went, oh, there's a lot of new cards now. And I think, okay, they take our Rage, sure. I think that's kind of been my recurring theme with Hearthstone, is that I enjoy it for a while, I come back after, like, 3 months, going, oh yeah, I should play that again, and it feels like 2 or 3 new expansions have come out. Like, Magic is definitely getting into a too much set creep issue. Hearthstone is way worse for that, in my opinion. So, okay, the one red is definitely a choke point for us. Yes, true, because one is digital, the other is paper. Blue Eyes White Dragon will be kicking around for a long time. So I think we attack, we offer the trade, we don't care too much about our code breaker. Okay. And I think we disguise out the Pyrotechnic Performer. I think so. I think there are going to be people who keep them locked up in those like really, really heavy duty hard sleeves. That is going to last a lot longer than Blizzard is willing to maintain paying for servers. I don't know though. I am not an oracle. I do not divine the future, but things come to an end. Oh no. Okay. Opponent got us. Yeah, again, don't think this is the most competitive deck there's ever been, but I do also love that when you disguise a creature, so long as you have at least one card in hand that isn't revealed, it makes it they don't know, because technically they don't. So it's like, I mean, I think that paper does not intrinsically last longer than electronic stuff. I'm sure there will be hard drives kicking around with data that could be recoverable way into the future, but I think it's a lot easier to maintain paper. I think there are people who are motivated to maintain paper. I should have played out the sellsword. That was stupid. It's fine. We're vibing. We're having good chats. Play Marsh? I don't know Marsh. Well, we'll hang around another turn or two, but Shelly does not bode well. Marsh on the... I'm so confused. It's the game ever? Okay. Let's, hold on, oh, right, I got a target. I was like, why won't my cursor? I guess we hit Lily. Hence, where you get to be the guy and squirt milk. What? I'm tired of your secret. Marsh. Okay. I'm hopeful that is. You're just a little block guy? Wonky. Okay. Intriguing. I will keep that in mind. I think we're very dead here. I was fairly certain that we were dead, but... Oh wait, we're a marsh? We aren't the little guy? But yeah, so I don't know. It's, I think paper... People feel there's an intrinsic value to paper, and if you just leave it alone, especially, like, treated paper like cardboard... Oh, you're a marshmallow! That's what it means by marsh. I was thinking, like, the swampy area. That... Okay. I understand better now. But yeah, like, paper you can kind of leave on autopilot. Whereas, you don't have to pay anything for the paper to stick around for the most part. So I'm sure I think there will be a copy of Blue Eyes White Dragon kicking around in someone's attic long after Blizzard has declared bankruptcy or rules the world, one or the other. Ugh. Now I'm just thinking of, like, water that has been loaded with enough marshmallow sugar to be a... Ugh. I find the concept of the game texturally upsetting. Cacophonious. Cacophony Scamp. Blue Eyes White Dragon is a digital and analog? Yes, I know that there are online versions of Yu-Gi-Oh! But, so that's fair. It will... It has twice the chance. But, true. Do I like Demir in Standard? I don't know. I did craft it. I didn't have enough to make the 4 of Gix. Um, I know it's one of the most popular decks. It's again not my style. It's way more tempo-y. It's $5 and still can't buy it. No, I don't know. Dimir is more tempo-y than I typically like to play. I like the creatures in it. Um, I think my biggest issue with it is that I know it's called mid-range, but it feels like an aggro deck that runs Shouldered. So I think part of it is I get disappointed that it doesn't feel mid-rangey enough for me. We will trample over. 2/4 is a big butt for us, so womp womp. No sacrifice. So I don't know. Dimir is, you think about it as a blue deck? Yeah. This is true. Yeah, the black does not seem to be, the black brings all of the good creatures, but it still feels like a blue deck. I think that is a very, very fair evaluation. I'm using the play with fire here to scry. We don't want that. Monstrous Rage guarantees us damage that we aren't necessarily going to get to do, but later. Oh, and we could have double play with fired. No. Okay. Black deck is cool. I agree. One of the decks that I was really hoping would work was a mono black deck running oh yes, in Balatro. I see. There was a deck in Magic that I was very excited for, but I don't know. Massacre Girl just can't stack up well against the control decks, unfortunately, because they don't run creatures. Vein Ripper! Yo! Love me some Vein Ripper. Yeah. Phyrexian Arena over Gix. I don't know. I like the versatility of Gix more, but it is also more fragile. So, if opponent doesn't gain life here, they're dead, which is one of the things I really like about this deck. Vein Ripper and Balatro? Hell yeah. That would be sick. We lose 2 life. I've not seen the beta from Balatro, no. So here, what we do is we Monstrous Rage, which might confuse them a little, and then we Zot them. Haha. Just some balance. I have played Balatro, not Alatro. It's something I should play more, but I'm trying to spend more, mostly limit my game time in a day to stuff on stream. So that I don't, because I'm trying to get back into reading books and whatnot, so, and I have not had a big Balatro audience, which is fine. Like, I don't do it for the audience, but, you know, I like, Magic is something that is pretty chill and I enjoy it. Balatro I also enjoy, but I'm still, like, sort of learning it, so yeah, I get nervous, I guess. Maybe I'll try, you know, let's do one more match of this, and then we can do a quick Balatro run before we do a little Baba. Kazu. I'll need to turn the volume back up. I know I turned it down for some reason. I can't remember why. Okay. This is not a good hand, but if we're doing this as last magic of the day, I want to keep this and see if we can get 3, 6, 9 damage. And we get to play with fire them for a lovely little... I guess we don't do the first 3 because we're probably playing it face up. What am I currently reading? I'm currently reading the second book in a series called Modao Zushi, Grandmaster of Demonic Cultivation. Basically, I have a... some of my closest friends are very into this whole bunch of these Chinese cultivation novels by an author called Mozhong Tao. Oh no, I'm forgetting it. MXTX is how her name gets abbreviated. So I'm trying to give those a shot. I'm enjoying them so far. It's very interesting because it's a It's a genre that I'm not very familiar with. No More Lies? No More Lies! This is what you do, personal. No. No More Lies is I'm it's a really good piece. It feels strong. I'm just gonna keep losing letters until it becomes rho, becomes O, until it becomes void. Um Doop doop doop. Let me guess. No More Lies number 2. Or Dissipate? No, Dissipate is 4. 3? You can tell I don't play enough counterspells. Um But yeah, so I'm currently reading that. Yep, No More Lies. There we go. Um, yeah, actually, let me get Balatro updating while we're doing this because I have not played any updates. Um, so I'm currently reading that. Oh no, Balatro is updated. Never mind. I did hear that there was some sort of like balance stuff. Yes, we are up against a Nozorius Enjoyer. I am not an Nozorius Enjoyer unless it's soldiers. Wandering Emperor? Oh, need to enable beta to update. Okay. Then yeah, we will take a look at that. We'll run out one mask maker. Huh? Huh? Um reading. So yeah, reading the second novel of Grandmaster of Demonic Cultivation. It's an interesting experience. I wouldn't say it's teaching me a lot about Chinese culture, but it's teaching me about a particular subset of Chinese nerd culture, which is interesting. Um, it's also they have they are very gay, which is also giving me some interesting insight into reading about how the novels are being handled and how some of their adaptations are being handled in China is giving some interesting insight into. Again, I'm not super familiar with LGBT issues in China, so it's interesting. I'm learning a lot from it. Um, and I'm alternating that with Cordwainer Smith's The Rediscovery of Man, which is a collection of short stories by an author known as Cordwainer Smith. It's Anthony. It's like Paul Myron Linebarger, Anthony Myron Linebarger. I forget his actual name. But Cordwainer Smith is a pen name. Interesting guy. He literally wrote the book on psychological warfare, at least that the US uses, like the book called Psychological Warfare. So he was very interested in psyops, and he was the godson of Sun Yat-sen, who was the head of the Chinese Republican movement back in the 50s. And basically wrote a job description for himself in the CIA that only he could fill to work as a spy over in China. Um, really, really fascinating guy, whose short stories all focus on we pass here because we just trade there and that's not good. Um, he his stories are all set in the same rough universe that is looking at if basically humans developed the two main conceits are that humans develop telepathic abilities, um, and then secondly, um, to advance our computational abilities, we start modeling a lot of computers off of animal brains. So like a ship might be run by a artificial intelligence that is operating on basically like a mouse operating system, and that eventually turns into genetically engineering quote unquote under people, which are just animals made to look like humans but keeping some of the characteristics. And it's a fascinating collection because it's one of the few series that deals with it's not a series, but one of the few works that deals with like a far future that I've read that I think does a really good job of imagining things that feel sufficiently alien to us to be confusing, but something that we can still get. Um Because like things like Foundation and whatnot by Asimov, great series, but I don't know. It's I can wrap my head around a lot of the stuff there, and it's it's about the dark ages of the far future. So it's more similar to us. It's relying on a lot of tropes, whereas the stuff in Rediscovery of Man feels off the chain. I've not read Dune. Dune is one that is on my reading list. Um, yeah. um, but yeah, I don't know. I highly recommend Rediscovery of Man. It's got some it's a very interesting look at a very interesting guy's vision of the far future, and it has some really great themes about what it is to be human and so on and so forth. It seems to be a big influence on Neon Genesis Evangelion. There is a fair bit of overlap in the concepts, and the governing body in the Rediscovery of Man setting is the human instrumentality, and in Evangelion, you have the Human Instrumentality Project. We just ripped too many lands here. We are dead. We got whaled. No, it is okay. Um, so that will be magic. Let's switch on over to Balatro. All right. For the YouTube folks, bye. Short magic stream today, but we'll be back with Thunder Junction Tuesday next week. We'll do a little more on Monday, but yeah.